the end, the most important. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Happy to see you here.
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. We're going to give it a couple of minutes for the rest of the participants to join.
Okay, yeah, let's give them a few minutes and we start the lesson.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone joining.
Okay, let's wait a few more minutes, Mona.
Of course.
In the meantime, guys, if you don't mind, we made a few polls for you, right? I think you can check it on your menus. We've asked you how many payment solutions are you connected to? At this point in your checkout, it will help us understand, and the people here with us to understand who is with us in the room and what is level of involvement in payments. We've also asked you how many of you have an active checkout on your website. So how many of you guys are processing today? If it's with a Bridger checkout or another checkout of yourself, it's also great. So we'll be happy if you can give us some answers while we are waiting for the people. It's on the right menu on polls. Also, while we wait for some other guys, if you have any questions in regard to checkout experience that you want us to cover in this event, then go ahead, ask your questions and get the board filled with some pre-ready questions. So, Mamuna, how is it in Bridger Studio?
It's good. It's absolutely beautiful, the studio that's been built. It's I wish I could show you more, but it's really nicely built.
Yeah,
and I hope that it transpires, the lightning and etc. I hope I see it. It's a good view.
It is. And next time I'll be next to you, but
exactly.
But COVID is COVID, and what can we do? We are
exactly.
here.
We have limitations.
We have our limitations.
Let's see.
Guys, I don't see the polls being submitted, so don't forget to submit your vote.
Let's see. We have a couple more people joining us. That's nice to see.
Yeah, I can see now the polls also being filled.
Exactly.
We have 3 people with 5 payment providers, 2 with above 5 payment providers. Good.
Perfect. I think we'll give it a couple of more minutes until we kick it off.
Yeah, it's great. You can also see from the polls already that most of the people here already have quite a bunch of payment providers connected into their checkout.
That's very good.
So that's good. It's probably these are people that have experience in different challenges that we will discuss today about, and we're obviously very happy to discuss about other checkout experience challenges you faced, guys, that you want us to speak about maybe in this event or in another. Okay, I think we should start. What do you say?
I think so too. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think it's we're good to go.
Perfect. Bridger Events, it's a collection of tools of webinars to help you scale your business. Independently from your size, sector, or role, we draw from our own experience to offer you actionable tips that actually work. Hi, and welcome to our very first live stream webinar. The topic that we have chosen to discuss today is solving the checkout experience. My name is Monali, and I'm the success manager here at BridgerPay. And I have the pleasure of being joined by our very own co-founder and CEO, Mr. Cohen. The webinar will be 30-minute long, and so please feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And in the end, we'll also open up for a question and answer. So at this given time, I'll start off with the presentation that we've made.
Let's get started, Muna.
Perfect. So the reason of why we have chosen to speak about solving the checkout experience is because we feel that there is a common denominator between all businesses, is to grow and to expand, whether or not that is into different regional areas or whether or not they want to launch different marketing campaigns. The end goal is to increase your revenue year on year. And in order to do so, you need to ensure that your clients have a successful checkout. Do you agree, Ran?
Yeah, I think successful checkout is the beginning of the journey. It's the beginning of the journey of our users when we're trying to sell them something from our website. If it's a plane ticket, a shoe, or an event ticket. The beginning of their payment experience starts with the checkout. I think that's basically why we built Bridger. And what was the initial thought when we started was how we managed to have payments in a website that is connected to many different payment providers, but all the payments are still being done in our website. In my old company, that was our struggle. And when I tried to move from B2B to B2C, I had to start connecting different payment providers and methods. And I had an amazing website with a beautiful product.
Okay.
Wasn't that successful back then, but it was still an amazing product that I wanted to take to the clients. And when we started connecting payment providers, we saw the huge gap between what is possible and what we have. We've basically been redirected all the time, and it took people out of my website, and it was a disaster. So I think the first steps of a user in the payment journey is the checkout. This is why it's so important. This is why the checkout experience is what I think is the most crucial thing to discuss when we start thinking about payments, because it all starts from the checkout.
Completely agree. It also links back to the checkout experience, whether or not it's a user-friendly checkout experience. And what I mean by that is when you enter a website, the first thing that I believe that an end user notices is whether or not the website has a clean layout. Is it easy to navigate? More importantly, can I have the website in multiple different languages? Because there are limitations in those terms. Or more importantly, can you also choose, or do you have a choice of which currency that you wish to pay in, as you touched upon when it came to the different payment providers that also have the option of being able to provide different currencies.
Right.
From your own experience as a business owner, how important do you think the first impression is for the end user, and why?
So first impression gives the confidence to the user, both in the website that he's shopping at, and also in the recurring shopping that we want him to make. So we have a few goals in the first experience that we have in a checkout, and we don't want to miss them. So it's a very short and narrow window of time that we have with our user, with the big intent to put their payment details and to complete the payment. And they are testing us the same way that we want them to complete the purchase. They want to also complete the purchase, but to also have the confidence in the process. You get to that confidence through the fact that your checkout needs to be user-friendly. We'll speak about later on about the cross capabilities and devices. You want to make sure that all payment providers and methods, as much as possible, are integrated and embedded within your website. And today we see a lot of clients which have a pop-up blocker embedded in their browser. And iOS, for example, with the new versions, which is not opening so easily those redirects.
Yes.
These are big challenges that businesses needs to overcome when they work with payment providers that are redirecting and taking the user to pay in another tab, which I think one of the most important things you want to stop. And obviously, of course, user-friendly is many more things. It's localization of the checkout to the language of the users, the currency, like you said, the currency and the amount. So you want to adapt your amount according to the different countries and in each country around the world. Obviously, when you see the product, most likely the product will be in the local price. You don't want to get to the point that your checkout is billing the user in another currency.
Exactly.
Than what he saw with the product. That will definitely get you some more cart abandonment than you desire.
I completely agree, because in that it results in confusion, discomfort, and this is what you want to avoid as a first-time user. Because if that had been me myself, I would probably not return back onto that website. However, as you briefly touched upon time, and you mentioned that it's very important for businesses to understand that they have a certain limited time where they can capture the end users or their clients' attention and ensure that they actually complete the checkout. For example, I'm a huge fan of online shopping, And one of the the good checkouts that I have come across is Amazon one-click buy, where it's not only a seamless process, it's a process that takes by 2 clicks, you've already purchased an item. And you know that it's a place that you can come back to, and you feel comfort in knowing that you know the process, you know how it goes about, how it happens, and you know how easy it takes for you to complete the transaction.
Yes,
So
same as PayPal, by the way. PayPal, I think this is the biggest selling point of PayPal, years and years. The fact that they would enable a fast checkout while many others couldn't, and it became like what we call today a wallet, where people are keeping funds and paying with. Think about it. PayPal was a wallet many years now, and this is how, for example, Google Pay and Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and many others are now building pay buttons, which allows you to check out in a button. But then I ask myself, what will be? We will have so many pay by buttons types. How will you choose? And it will create more challenges for the user to start embedding those pay by buttons checkout. So it's the evolving payment world is also brings more challenges on the technical side. Those implementations of pay buttons are different than a simple or a regular payment provider connection. And they require a bit more manipulation and a bit more work on the domain itself. And to add some scripts on the domain itself, because Google Pay and Apple Pay are connected to your Apple Pay or Google Pay account. So it has its own challenges that you need to know how to solve. Let's talk about the time.
Of course. I believe that time, it's very important for businesses to understand how long does it take from your client, as I said but previously, to actually complete the checkout. Because at the end of the day, the longer the checkout process is and the more complexity it is, the more time you give your end users to change his mind, which means even though the businesses do not realize that the client has been on the website, it's a sale that has been lost. Of course, there are different methods that you can extract data and analyze and see where the trend goes and try to figure out why. And I think this is where we come into play as well. And from your experience, what do you think your take on that is?
Look, time is super important. You can see abandonment of users in the checkout experience, and we see it in Bridger a lot, where people that are connected to payment providers that are responding slow are not completing transactions in sometimes. I think the goal, both for us in Bridger and for the merchants and businesses, is to be able to connect to payment providers that are fast and efficient, that provides the results in milliseconds, because in the end, clients or transactions that will be in process mode, after a few seconds, clients are becoming a bit unconfident about it, and might also close the tab or close the transaction or reject or and in the end, we are now left with an angry client, so that maybe the transaction was approved in the end in the payment provider that took him another half a second to do it. So it's very important to work and to choose payment providers according to the timing. This is a pain and challenge that we got from merchants of us not long ago, and we started monitoring the time of processing of each payment provider. We are going to soon add it to the product next to each payment provider and this average time of processing. So businesses will also be transparent to the data of their own payment providers and
Yeah.
make their decisions, more informative.
So concisely, it gives them the more data to be able to move forward and work around that issue, so to say.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, I wanted to briefly touch upon what we've seen as our own experiences. Early on, we saw a trend amongst our merchants in regards to limited payment service providers not supporting iframe, which has a complete direct effect on the user's checkout experience. So the issue here was, more specifically, one of the merchants that we have had an issue with bad user experience in terms of iframe not being supported by the payment solution. Can you tell me a little bit about how we solved their issue here, Ran?
Yeah, sure. We can. Let's maybe before we should ask the guys here and people here in the event if you have any questions and anything to say or comment or ask us during this event. So be very free to do so.
Yes.
You have the questions on the right and the chat. So be free to speak with us. We'll be happy to hear what you have to say and discuss about it. So in regards to the iframe, so obviously, yes, we've that was the first thing we wanted to overcome in Bridger or with Bridger, is to have one single iframe that you embed. But if you take it more than that, each one of you guys here in the event and with his own checkout, there are a few things you want to have in your checkout and a few things you want to make sure that your checkout covers, I think. So I think you said that iframe and the fact that a checkout would be embedded or fully being embedded in your website without being redirecting anywhere. That's the first thing and most important thing, not to lose those users, first of all, by technical issues like redirects and pop-ups.
Of course.
And if you have, and once you have embedded this checkout, you obviously want it to feel like you want it to be like you want it to the look and feel, the font, the colors, the background, to be completely a part of your website as much as it can, and give the users a very smooth experience, like they're in the same world of content that we are bringing them into. Now, a checkout also obviously has the tokenization part. The tokenization is one of the most important part that we want to have in our checkout. We don't want to lose the second transaction in a click. Like you said before, the pay with a click.
Yes.
Once you tokenize the card, you are able to pay again and have the client have a smoother experience on the checkout when he is returning.
Yes.
And I think tokenization is super important. You want your checkout to accept any card, and it doesn't matter from where it's coming from. So supporting any card is super important. You don't want to get declines by the card type. You need to have payment providers that gives you this cover.
Yes.
Obviously, dynamic fields allows you to send your payment providers different data that he needs, data that you might not collect during the process of the sales. So dynamic fields can upload you here. I don't know, the name and the address and other details that the payment provider or the acquirers might want, and it could be dynamically pushed into the checkout.
Yeah.
We've discussed about. You want to take the currency converter?
No, you're on a roll, so please go ahead.
So currency converter, I think this is one of the most localizing features, most important localizing features you want to have to make sure your clients will be able to deposit in any currency that they want to deposit in or pay with, and to have the amount changed according to the currency conversion.
Yes.
Feature that we have. So this is something that if you have it on your website or if you have it on your checkout or don't, it's something I recommend to add and to have multiple currencies, because this is definitely something that helps the confidence in the checkout.
Yes, I completely agree.
The limit control also help you give the clients the limits if you want to give him. It depends on what you sell him.
Yeah.
And the security is, and the brand of PCI and SSL, these are proven to improve conversions on your checkout, and definitely something you want the client to see because he sees them on other checkouts that he's going through. So, yeah.
So
we have Marco here that is saying something. This is very correct, but the client payment experience need to be supported by smart marketing to anticipate client payment behavior to be successful. And that's super right, Marco. Super, super right. When you're running a campaign in the US or in Europe or Southeast Asia or Africa, the campaign also already, the payment options and methods you are offering in your checkout should be a part of your campaign and leads them directly to an experience that they are already anticipating. For example, buy this plane ticket with Klarna, or buy this shoe with PayPal, or Afterpay, or whatever. Once you start connecting the campaigns to the also regions that are most using those type of methods, and if you go to US, you have so many different countries that use different buy now, pay laters, and you can filter campaigns through them. We have clients that are doing that, and it works amazing. You could also send to Bridger checkout different parameters from the campaign to adapt the checkout from the campaign parameters and the campaign specifications for a specific payment provider that you want to show. So checkout can be also organized according to campaign, and that's completely true, Marco. Very good.
Thank you for that. I'll move into the next slide, where we're gonna come across cross-device capabilities. Now, it is important that the look and feel, just like you said previously, come across similar on all the different devices, and more importantly, that the checkout features on each of these devices at least have a similar process, so that the end user will have a seamless process throughout the different points of devices, because there are multiple ones. Do you think the impact is great for the end user if the business is unable to offer this to their clients?
Well, look, you can see it from, if we take examples from real life, something that we all do, if it's to pay the Netflix or put our credit card on Netflix, for example, which is so smooth, so easy. It's even so smooth that you can do it with a remote control,
Yes.
Like I was actually doing it a few days ago. I had to renew it. And from the remote control, you can easily put the credit card. And this is what it means to take the payment experience and adapt it to your type of users.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure everyone that is running here campaigns, everyone here that is selling a product must have sales from mobile. It's I'm guessing that's one of their most growing channels of sales. And you want to be adaptable as well in your mobile. You want to have your mobile checkout experience to be completely seamless, to be to be with the same capabilities you're using on your web. So if you're using or you're connected a payment provider or a method on the web, you definitely want to make sure that it works on your mobile and fit mobile. And I would check it first, because a lot of payment methods are not exactly fitting to mobile.
Yeah.
I think in Bridger, that's one of our biggest challenges when we're integrating payment providers again and again. The testing period and the testing phases that we take them in mobile are the painful one. This is where you see all the bugs, all the problems, all the mistakes. And I think this is the big challenge for many merchants, to be able to have a very big adaptability to mobile, to the versions they are releasing so fast. These versions obligate you to immediately go and adapt your technology to those versions, or it's just going to be buggy.
Of course, or you end up getting behind the line, so to say, if you're not be able to keep up with it. I completely agree with it, and it goes without saying that. And if it's not seamless throughout one to the other, it's not only confusion for the client, it's also a loss for the business in that sense, because the client doesn't have the same experience on one platform as it does on the other. So absolutely, I agree on that.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest whoever connects payment provider and testing it on mobile,
yes,
to make sure he's testing it not only in the different Android, iOS, but to make sure he's doing an end-to-end test with 3D and 3DS2 challenges that are coming into the mobile and completely destroying the experience, and many times are broken. So this is my advice in terms of mobile. The testing period here is very important, and you need to make sure that you test all use cases here.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to move into, we've spoken about the why we believe the checkout experience is very important. We covered the grounds on that. So very quickly and briefly, we're going to touch upon how we feel from an end user as well as a business perspective. It could increase or make their checkout experience more seamless. So one of the points that I would like to point out is convenience is the key. And I believe that the convenience here is the key, and it links both the seamless process as well along with the data optimization. Because if from my own experience, sometimes it's been more convenient for me and less complicated if I go on a website, as previously you mentioned Netflix, or if I go on a website such as Amazon and I want to buy a product, instead of having to go through the hassle of searching through a website and trying to find a better price and trying to waste the time, sometimes it's easier for me and convenient to pay either 5 or 10% higher cost, knowing that I'm going to get the item that I need with the click of 2 buttons. So on this point, I think it leads back to what we've discussed and how we can build on the experience of an end user. Another point is the data optimization. Here's where I wanted to ask, what tools do you believe that there are for businesses to ensure the convenience for the end users, to increase their transactional ratio? Because at the end of the day, yes, we do end up coming across multiple websites. We do end up coming across multiple websites to offer what we want. However, it's not precisely in terms of what we need. So how do you think businesses can use different tools to see and understand their client base more in order to be able to make that transaction a seamless process?
Well, first of all, if we discussed before about attaching a campaign to a method of payment provider,
yes,
then it's the same as remarketing or retargeting a client with another product with the payment method he already paid with you.
Okay.
So if you know that a client made a transaction in your website and bought a shirt with Afterpay, for example,
Yes.
why not go to him with the remarketing? When you go back to him with the payment method he already paid. So you use the data that you have from the first transaction that he made, not only the tokenization that you did,
yes,
and help you to make the second click fast, the second payment faster, but also to optimize the second transaction and the third transaction and the fourth, and give him more comfort in the fact that this is the payment method you are regular in using, come use it again and buy another shirt.
exactly.
Now, we have also a question here from Pathan, and he's asking us, well, we are well, although I was positive COVID, but I'm now better and all well. This is why I'm not with Muna in our studio. He's asking us, won't it be a good idea to make checkout fun with some cashbacks?
Okay.
Now, cashbacks are great, and they're an amazing idea to have recurrent clients.
Yeah.
To get them to, I don't know, I feel good when someone is cashbacking me in something. I think we have that in some places. I don't know if Revolut does it, but cashbacks are, I think this is something that works with audiences, and this is definitely a feature that you should use. Cashbacks are connected to the checkout. So whenever a client comes back again, or in each transaction that he's doing, you can generate some kind of a code or some kind of a base points that you're giving him. And he's starting to get cashbacks on every transaction that he's doing, meaning that on the next transaction that he will do with you, the amount will be deducted by the cashback that he's getting. I think that's what you are referring to, Patan. Today we perform checkout in a normal way, he's asking us. Put personal info, choose payment method, put payment details, checkout. After this, what? Done. I'm talking about process that starts after checkout, like once your checkout is done, you receive a cashback. It can be anything like giving 20% off with some existing merchants that they have already collaborated with. So, which you're talking to get a cashback from who? From the PSPs?
I think it is. Oh, it's coming back already. Yes, from the merchants.
Yeah, well, okay. If you are, yeah, exactly, because you're looking at if you're looking at the merchants like on a marketplace. So if basically the question here, I think, is on a marketplace model, and in a marketplace model, you have the sellers or the businesses, merchants below you, and definitely a cashback to those merchants would incentivize them to give you more. This cashback can also be something that you close with the payment providers. And that's something that you can also have it together with them, so it doesn't fall completely on you, because the payment provider has the same incentive of cashing back your sellers. Yeah, exactly. So we spoke about a little bit on how we can optimize, and we gave an example on how we can optimize the data.
Yes.
In the end, the conversion rates of paying clients in our checkout is the first thing we want to enhance. If it's per country, if it's per product, but that's what we want to enhance, and that's what we want to optimize.
Okay.
And the other side of it is the abandon rate of how many people left my checkout. if they, I don't know, didn't saw something they like, didn't saw the payment method they want to pay with, didn't saw the currency.
How would you then tackle that specific crowd? Because this is the crowd where you will be losing the revenue stream, so to say.
I think the first thing is to know that it is existing.
Very
So
true.
the first thing to know is to know what's your cart abandonment rate.
Okay.
And you can definitely know that by pixeling the payment page or pixeling the different pages and all the flow before the page, getting the data into a place which you can organize and surface and see in a very transparent way. You can do it. You can start with Google Analytics, of course.
Okay.
Ping an event on the payment page wherever the checkout is loading. Make sure that you have an event that triggers every time that this checkout is being loaded. Google will alone start, or the analytics alone will start measuring the conversion rates. But again, owning the data is far more important for businesses that are growing and are in scale.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then you can connect a tag server into your checkout, put a tag event, many tag events on the checkout itself and on the checkout page, and see what's your drop rate and what's the abandonment rate. And that will also, first of all, surface the data, allows you to understand who is abandoning you more, from which countries.
Very good point.
On which product, and it will give you a starting point to know what you need to improve.
Very good point.
I think. Do you see the chats?
Yes, I do indeed. I think
this should be addressed through BI, Marco says, and that's completely, definitely true.
Yes.
If you push everything into a data house, connect this to, I don't know, a Power BI or whatever you want to connect it, Tabula or whatever you want to connect, get this transparent to you. I can tell you that this is something that we will do in Bridger at a very soon point. And another feature that we will add, and that will give more transparency to our merchants on what we see from our checkouts. But there is even levels before our checkout, before it loads. And we want to know even the abandon rates before our checkout loads and after.
Okay.
So the whole flow is covered. Pathan is asking us if there is an analytic platform where we can track contracts confirmed, abandonment. Each page should be tracked, starts from subscription page until checkout. So definitely. So I can tell you in Bridger what we do as a SaaS company that bring merchants into our website, and we track every single event in the tag server from the website, the pricing page, the upgrades buttons, and throughout the whole self-onboarding that we have created, and the payment page where people, of course, will pay. So in the end, you want to have all the events tagged, get them into your BI, and start creating, crunching them and get the logic out of them and see where you have the biggest pitfalls. It will give you a big light on where is the issue and what you need to optimize.
Perfect. Just to run on, I'm going to quickly move into the last slide because I think we're pushing a little bit on time. This is a good example to show you, as we've already discussed the different checkouts. It's just a very good example to show you so on the left-hand side, you will have a mismatch checkout that is not very easy to read. The font is a little bit different. It's a little bit confusing in terms of the different colors, and it's not aligned, so to say, versus a clean checkout. So which one is more appealing to you, Ran?
I would say the one that is more converting. And in the end, that's what you want your users or your website to have. Many merchants use and this is a good example of a lot of one-click checkouts that are connected into a checkout. And if you don't want all this one-click checkout,
yes,
then you proceed to your checkout. So checkouts are becoming split. And that's a challenge that we also are trying to solve in Bridger, and to see how we unify this pay by click. I think the first way for us to do it is by suggesting the user on the second transaction the pay by click that they used, if they used when they did the first transaction. And that's one of the first things that we are trying to do. But unifying it is a big challenge, a challenge that we are still working on. And because you will see slowly how more and more pay by buttons are coming in.
Yes.
While you have other payment methods that are that belongs to the what we call traditional checkout.
Yes.
And if you don't want your checkout to become two different checkouts, you need to be able to combine them. Today, what we do is in Bridger is adding all, even if you have pay by buttons, we add them as payment methods inside the main checkout. So we don't get to split them between two different checkouts. And we see from there, and from that, we see good results. So for us, that's the way to take it forward. We have another question there. BI Tableau will be more under visualization and dashboard to analyze and make decision engine. Yeah, look, as long as if we are speaking about data, first of all, data is a topic we are going to have a separate event on, right, Mona?
Of course. This upcoming event, we will have a separate one.
Yeah, we will definitely go deep dive into data and show you some different information on ratios of cart abandonment and deal ratios that are changing according to payment methods. So data is going to be covered in a separate event, and it's obviously one of the most immediate ways to optimize your checkout, to know what you're doing, to know what is wrong, and then what you can add. Yes. I would also suggest to add after any checkout or any approved transactions that you have with your merchants. I would definitely send them an email with a survey.
Yes.
Asking them, if they would want to pay with other payment methods.
Of course, because the more you listen, the more you can actually cater to their needs. Therefore, automatically, it raises their transaction approval ratio. So I completely agree with that. I think we're going to move right through to Q&A. I know we've been taking questions along the line, and if there's any questions that you have now, please feel free to ask them. I can see Alex is typing up something at the moment. Perfect. I think this one will be directed to you, Ran. Do you also use any recording analytic tools?
Yeah, well, first of all, you need to remember a few things. When you record the checkout, you have PCI limitations. The PCI obviously does not, and the GDPR. So PCI and GDPR does not allow you to record in any circumstances any data that is secured. So you need to make sure that you are hashing the credit card details, the CVV. And you can do that with different tools that you can use. There is Open Replay, which is an open source tool that you can use. It has many versions and also great support. You can use, of course, Hotjar and other tools that are available in the market, but more expensive. You can use LogRocket, I know, which is also a good tool.
Okay.
And yeah, that's definitely allowing you to monitor, see the session, and also send events from those sessions to your database. Pathan is asking us, but the page after checkout can be tracked like the successful page. Yeah, definitely, of course. Everything, it's not only the checkout. Again, it's not like you cannot record. You can record. It's okay to record as long as you're hashing the credit card details, CVV.
Yep. And everything is tokenized. And
by the way, obviously, whenever a 3D session loads, it will already be hashed because it serves from another server, so you won't see it anyway. And then, of course, once the client reaches a successful page, the recording is continuing and nothing is changing. So you can have a complete recording. We can have in our next event, I'll give you an example of a full recording A to Z of a client that is making a transaction, choosing the payment method, entering his details, and we can speak about how to record a payment session under the PCI and compliance rules and GDPR.
Of course. Perfect. I think we're running on the limit. I don't want to keep everyone else more than we have actually expected. I think,
guys, if you have any more questions,
for another more question, I think, yes.
If you or anyone else, let's see who we have here. We have 28 people in the session, guys. So
of course, if you have any questions, this is the time.
Seeing the polls. Yeah.
The polls are coming in slowly, shortly. I know that there's a lot of things that we have covered throughout this webinar. However, please do be advised that we will send out a live recording of the webinar after this. So the information, you will have access to the information. I was just having a look.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Paul gives us kudos. So thank you, Paul Wincho.
Thank you, Alex, as well. On that note, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you ever so much for everyone that participate. Thank you, Ran, for joining. And thank you for all the questions and for your engagement. It's been a pleasure. Please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn and make sure that you register for our next upcoming webinar, which will be on Tuesday, the 15th, same time, same place. So thank you ever so much for joining. And thank you,
Mona. It was great.
Perfect. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.